I'm Wendy Johnston. I'm presenting our study, Patient-Centered Priorities for Participation in Longer-Term ALS Studies, Improving Enrollment and Retention. Longer ALS studies are challenged by low enrollment and high attrition. In this mixed method focus group study, we asked people with ALS and their family caregivers what their priorities were for participation in longer-term research studies. Methodologic details could be found on the poster. We identified three primary themes. First, practicality is important. We asked the participants in a poll what would encourage them to volunteer for and stick with the study. One of our polls identified that practical issues are important, for example, home assessments. But we also found that engagement with research staff was also highly valued. A quotation from a participant: "It's fun to be able to work with smart people in pursuit of stretch goals. It's a shared challenge and there's always a lot to learn." The demonstrated value for engagement with researchers leads to the second theme. Research is a partnership. Participants identified their motivations for participating in research. They include hope for treatment or cure. However, our findings also show that people are also highly motivated by a desire to give back. For example, one participant said, "Despite becoming physically challenged in so many ways, people can give back by participating in research studies." We asked participants what, aside from a cure, they'd like to get from participating in research. Once again, participants indicated high interest in interacting with health professionals and researchers, but they're also interested in learning about their own data, for example, strength tests or breathing scores. They also had interest in, quote, "my results compared to average," end quote. For example, just to have a reference to where you are in relation to early, middle, or late stages. Finally, in an era of open science, we also asked participants about sharing data and/or biosamples with for-profit pharmaceutical companies. We found that with caveats, this was acceptable to almost all participants. Our findings suggest that these concerns, caveats about sharing with pharmaceutical companies can be addressed by appropriate safeguards and open, sustained researcher engagement with participants. For example, a participant said, "I would be willing to share data with pharmaceutical companies with safeguards built in." Another said, "I would have no problem with the sharing of my results anywhere. I would encourage the sharing with pharmaceutical companies who stand to make a fortune with their findings. Do the job, then reap the rewards." In conclusion, we found that engagement with participants as research partners is critical to recruitment and retention in ALS research. Patient-centered models of authentic engagement need to be developed. Our study has implications not only for observational research, but for interventional work, including clinical trials. ALS researchers need to actively engage with research participants to facilitate both recruitment and particularly retention.